Hi, and thanks for joining us. I'm Erin, the Chief Quality and Operations Officer at Trilogy Care, and I'm joined today by our founder, James Whitelaw, and we're going to answer some of the common questions that we've been receiving here as part of the transition to support at home. Thanks for joining us, James.
Thanks, Erin. Great.
James, I know a lot of our clients got to know you through your personal story about your in-laws, Peter and Innes.
Mm.
How are they going with the transition?
Yeah, yes, when we started the journey in really 2017, it was because of a personal experience with my in-laws. My mother-in-law is in a nursing home nowadays. Her dementia deteriorated, and then in 2021 she went to a nursing home. She's living in that nursing home and living happily there. Not far from where we live, and father-in-law is still a supported home recipient. And a lot of the questions you're going to be asking today are questions that Peter was asking me when I went home. He lives with my wife and I, and so I have pretty first-hand experience answering these questions. And when I saw the common questions that we're getting from our clients, uh, I thought, oh, this is going to be a sort of, I don't want to turn this into a government bashing, it's all their fault um, scenario. I want us to get some constructive ways to work within this new system.
So first question off the rank in our common questions, and probably the one that we're receiving most frequently, is I wasn't sent my agreement until the middle of October, but now you're chasing it to be signed. Why didn't we give more time to our clients?
The new laws were not implemented until the 24th of September, so 37 days approximately before the new system came in. Um, and when we got the new laws and they were passed, we then understood what we had to do so far as what the construct was for our agreements. We'd done a lot of work on them anyway by that time, and it was a very short time frame for us then to get that out after legislation was issued. Um, so there's a big job to get them out, to get them drafted correctly in line with the legislation and get them out to people. So we would have loved to have had more time, and but we didn't get that time.
What about the 90-day extension that's
Mm.
now been brought up? That was introduced by the government 4 days prior to the program.
Yes, yes. So we were led to believe that everyone needed to get their agreement and sign it prior to 1 November, which was an impossible task, talking about the time frame before. Um, and then, as you say, 4 days prior to the implementation, they said, oh, well, we'll give people a 90-day period to get their agreement back, a maximum of the 90 days.
Absolutely. And the government's also clarified since then that the intention of that extension was for clients that are concerned or unsure about their contributions. And they're
Yes,
now encouraging both providers and clients alike to finalise those agreements where possible.
yes.
Why is the agreement so big?
Yeah, the legislation was big, right? It's this once in a generation, they say, change.
Yeah,
I don't think it's once in a generation, to be honest, because there was a once in a generation change about 10 years ago. But this once in a generation change to the way support at home is delivered, and so they say, look, yes, let's make it a big agreement. It covers a lot of territory, um, and then we sort of don't have to worry about it anymore. So they just the level of content that the government passed means that the agreement is thick. Um, but it may be thick, but it's easy to sign.
Now, why aren't the Trilogy team getting back to clients as fast as we normally do?
Yeah. As we transition to the sport at home, there's a significant additional burden on our people here at Trilogy. And they have to do their day job as well as this transition, right? And things will normalise back to response timeframes. But fair to say, our people are running two jobs at the moment. You know, it's there's a lot of stress in the whole sector, not just here at Trilogy Care, but throughout the whole sector, the whole industry. And as a result, response times are a little slower, but they will normalise after we get through this hump.
Prices listed in my agreement are much higher than the prices I pay now or the prices in my current budget. Why have they gone up?
Yeah, so the prices that are put in the agreements are the maximum price, right? Um, the great thing about Trilogy Care is that we have the flexibility, or our people, our clients, have the ability to negotiate the price, um, and to get best value out of their sport at home package. The So they don't have to keep coming back, because in the agreement is the maximum price. If for some reason someone wasn't able to negotiate a price under that number, then you actually have to come back and re-document the agreement. So we built a whole heap of fat into that price. Um, Consumers should definitely don't think that that's what you need to pay for that service.
Absolutely not.
That's the maximum under the agreement that you should pay, but you should pay a lot less. So those rates are maximum only, and we actually have been publishing and will continue to publish the real rate that you should be paying, right? Yeah. So once again, the prices look high, but it's really that's more of an administrative thing,
Yes.
right, rather than what you actually have to pay.
So, so just to be clear on that, that's the maximum price that a client can agree with a third party supplier to pay for a service without requiring our consent to form part of that negotiation with the third party supplier.
That's right.
So it's enabling the choice and control and the freedom to negotiate that directly between the clients and suppliers, which is the beauty of self-management.
That's right. Yes. And once again, putting these maximum price numbers is a requirement that government want to see in our agreements, right? So that's how we've worked around it.
Yeah. And just to follow on from that, our most common prices for services each quarter are updated on our website. So if clients ever have any concerns that they're overpaying against the market for self-managed delivery of services, they can easily check that on our website as well.
That's right.
And why have service prices gone up so much across the industry?
The government have shifted the emphasis, right, and on fees. Right now, Trilogy Care has always been a low fee organisation. As you know, under the old system, our self-managed fee was 15% of someone's package to do what we do. And therefore, as a result of the government pushing down fee costs across the board, some providers have increased the rate they charge for the service. Physiotherapy, one I see, the cost of a physiotherapist has doubled in some instances. So therefore, some providers have shifted um, the the loss that they've now suffered as a result of not getting the same fee income, they've added that into the price of a service. So that's generally why prices have risen. Um, uh, for Trilogy Care clients, you're in control. You can negotiate that rather than accepting a higher price.
Yes, that's
That's
exactly right.
published.
And so on that, James, you mentioned that Trilogy Care clients under the home care package program paid a fee of 15% of their package to us. And now effectively they're paying 20%, which is the 10% care management pool, which everyone pays, regardless of which provider you're with, and then the 10% self-managed loading on services.
Yes.
Has that in effect caused our clients to be paying more?
No, we've worked out that the old 15% fee under home care was charged on someone's whole package, irrespective whether they used the package or not, whether they expended their package. The government said no, you only have to pay fees on the amount that you use, not on it. So therefore, more user pay, right? So if you only use, 70% of your funding package, you'll pay a fee on 20% on 70%, right?
That sounds terribly confusing.
It is a bit confusing. So because they've switched it from being 15, you pay 15% whether you use the package or not, to only on what you use, then they allowed self-managed providers to lift their fee rate, right, from to a maximum of 20% on the usage. So it's about usage, and that's the new regime. That extra 10%, so 10% everyone charges, and the 10% additional the Trilogy charge is only available to self-managed providers like Trilogy, right? Because many providers have added the loss of that fee onto their hourly rate. That's why they've lifted their prices. Whereas Trilogy's clients, they negotiate the price direct. Trilogy can't, add fees or to recover the fees within there. So that's why someone who is self-managing pays that additional loading. But it still works out pretty well much the same as the old system of 15%.
Yeah. And I think it's fair to say that 10% loading is far less than the hourly rate increases that we're seeing for services for non-self-managed clients.
It appears so. If you look at Trilogy's most common rates, you'll see how much lower it is than other providers.
Less than half in a lot of instances.
Yes, that's correct.
With that, there is a bit of confusion under what no worse off means. Are our clients worse off with the new fee structures?
The government's saying you're no worse off. What they're referring to there is, under the old system, a client would make a contribution as an income tested fee. So clients had to pay a contribution toward their care under the old system. Some people paid zero, right? So let's say someone had to make a contribution of $15 a day under the old system, and then as they go into the new system, they will not pay more than that as a contribution toward their care. So you're no worse off in the contribution. It's the no worse off is not about fees, it's about the contribution, out of pocket money that consumers have to pay. So and that's government says you'll be no worse off in the amount that you have to contribute out of your own pocket.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't extend to hourly rates for service,
No,
provider fees, or any other arrangements.
no, those monies come out of their package.
Correct.
The government
Yeah.
was referring to what comes out of your pocket, not out of your package.
Material difference.
Yep.
What happens if a client chooses not to pay their contributions?
Part of the new supported home is that the contribution that people pay toward their care is higher, unless, of course, you're in the no worse off category. So these are new consumers coming into the supported home. And it's a bit like, as people probably know, I'm an accountant, right? I can just imagine someone coming to see me and saying, what if I decide not to pay my tax, right? What will the government do to me? What the government do, they chase you to pay your income tax, right? So it's not dissimilar to paying tax. The government expects people to make a contribution toward their care, and it's their rules. That's the law, and they require us to collect that from the consumer. Just like as an employee is working for someone, their income tax is taken out of their wage each week. It's collected by the employer and sent to the government. Very similar. We have to collect what the government says we've got to collect off a consumer as a contribution, and use that money as part of provision of care. So, contributions are a legal obligation, just like tax. And it's a new concept. We'll see if there's some softening over time. I see there's already some discussion about Senate inquiries into contributions. I think led by the Greens. So we'll see if the right balance is found over time. And we're encouraging people to make sure that they make their contributions at the time. So a big debt, like a big tax debt, a big debt doesn't build up, and they're burdened with a big contribution in one go, and because that may cause a lot of financial hardship to someone to get a big bill in one go. So we're introducing direct debits, to secure direct debits, so people are able to make their payments on time, regular, and can get used to this new government imposed contribution.
And our final question today, from our most common questions, is: my budget is very confusing and complicated. As an accountant, you might be the right person to answer this as well. Can you explain what's changed?
Yeah, under the old home care system, there was a pool of money, and it was a budget was constructed on what you needed in various categories of service. But the ability to flex between those was quite easy, and there being no contribution directly against any of those, you could flex around. Now the new system, whereby each type of service has different contributions, the government wants us to construct a plan and a budget based on a line by service line item, with each of those having a different contribution percentage. So it's turned what was a reasonably flexible pool of funds that you could move between, has gone to this far stricter budget preparation. So once again, it's a government imposed requirement. It's part of this contributions thing, and it is confusing. It can be confusing to a lot of people, like how it's constructed. It's not something that's easily understood overnight. You know, it's this is a big change, and we've just got to manage this change. Yeah. So yes, your budget is confusing and complicated under the new regime.
Well, hopefully we will release some further resources to assist with the interpretation of budgets and also the corresponding monthly statements. They are going to be laid out much the same way, with a lot more information required by the government in those monthly statements that we're issuing to our clients. So we expect the documentation to keep coming, and we'll keep adapting with that as best we can and as quickly as we can as well.
Yeah. So the takeaways, we've got this window for people to get their agreement signed.
Yes.
Right. We've been given a bit of a leeway, but really get those in. We've got to keep on top of contributions, that's now been imposed. The easy way is direct debit, one of the easiest ways. So, we want to smooth out the transition as best we can. So, getting those back is important as we move through this implementation. Great.
Thanks, James.
Great.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And we will be back in the coming weeks with more on this series, which we're calling Our Confusion to Clarity for Support at Home. And we want to thank everyone for taking the time to watch this. Keep the questions coming in if there's something you'd like us to address in the future sessions.